John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown. By day, Gacy was a respected businessman and part-time party clown. By night, he was a predator, luring young men to his home under false pretenses before torturing and murdering them. He buried 26 victims under his house before police caught on. Arrested in 1978, he was convicted of 33 murders and executed in 1994. His case remains one of America's most disturbing. David Berkowitz, son of Sam, the killer who blamed a demon. Between 1976 and 1977, Berkowitz terrorized New York, shooting strangers and claiming he was commanded by a demon possessing his neighbor's dog. He left taunting letters, fueling the city's fear. Captured due to a parking ticket near a crime scene, he confessed and was sentenced to life in prison. Now calling himself the Son of Hope, he claims to have found religion behind bars. Dennis Rader, BTK killer, the monster hiding in plain sight. Rader lived a seemingly normal life. He was a church leader, family man, and local compliance officer. But beneath that facade, he was the BTK killer, short for bind, torture, kill. For 17 years, he stalked and murdered his victims while taunting police with letters. His downfall came in 2005 when he sent a floppy disk that was traced back to him. Sentenced to 10 life terms, he remains in prison. Gilles de Rais, the knight-turned-monster. Once a celebrated French war hero and close ally of Joan of Arc, Gilles de Rais fell into financial ruin and turned to the occult. His dark descent led him to commit horrific crimes, abducting, torturing, and killing children. His noble status kept him above suspicion for years, but when authorities finally investigated, they uncovered his gruesome secrets. He was executed in 1440, ending the reign of one of history's first known serial killers. Andrei Chikatilo, the butcher of Rostov. Growing up during the Soviet famine, Chikatilo developed violent tendencies that led him to become one of Russia's most terrifying killers. Over a 12-year spree, he slaughtered women and children, deriving sadistic pleasure from their suffering. Despite multiple arrests, authorities failed to link him to the murders until 1990. He confessed to 56 killings and was executed in 1994 with a single gunshot to the head. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, the devil in human form. During 1984 to 85, Ramirez unleashed terror across California, breaking into homes to attack, torture, and kill his victims. He showed no pattern. His victims ranged from young children to the elderly. He left behind satanic symbols and reveled in the fear he caused. Caught by an angry mob in 1985, he was convicted and sentenced to death, though he died of cancer in 2013 before his execution. Ted Bundy, the charming killer. With good looks and charisma, Bundy lured young women to their deaths, often pretending to need help before abducting, assaulting, and murdering them. Killed across multiple states, and even escaped custody twice before finally being caught in Florida. Convicted of multiple murders, he was executed in the electric chair in 1989. His case remains one of the most notorious in U.S. history. Albert Fish, the real-life boogeyman. A seemingly harmless old man, Fish was anything but. Beneath his ordinary exterior lurked one of the most sadistic killers in history who kidnapped, tortured, and cannibalized children. His crimes were fueled by twisted sexual and religious delusions. He was caught after sending a chilling letter to a victim's family detailing his atrocities. Convicted and sentenced to death, he was executed in the electric chair in 1936. The Toy Box Killer, David Parker Ray, the man with a torture chamber. Ray's secret toy box was a soundproof trailer filled with instruments of torture. Along with his girlfriend, he kidnapped women, subjected them to unimaginable torment, and recorded the horrors. Though no bodies were ever found, investigators believe he killed dozens. His crimes were exposed in 1999 when a victim escaped. Sentenced to 224 years in prison, he died of a heart attack in 2002. Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal. Dahmer's crimes were beyond horrific. He lured young men to his apartment, killed them, and engaged in necrophilia and cannibalism. He even attempted to create zombie victims by injecting acid into their brains. When police finally raided his apartment in 1991, they found dismembered body parts and human remains. Sentenced to life, he was killed by a fellow inmate in 1994. Harold Shipman, Dr. Death, the doctor who played God. A respected British doctor, Shipman used his position of trust to kill his patients, mostly elderly women, by injecting them with lethal doses of morphine. He falsified medical records to cover up the deaths, going undetected for decades. When he forged a will to benefit himself, authorities uncovered his crimes. Convicted of 15 murders, though suspected of over 250, he hanged himself in prison in 2004. H. Holmes, the man behind the murder castle. America's first documented serial killer, Holmes built a sinister hotel, infamously called the Murder Castle, filled with trapdoors, secret rooms, and torture chambers. Luring in unsuspecting guests, he tortured and killed them before disposing of their remains. A master con artist, Holmes also committed insurance fraud and murdered for financial gain. He was finally caught in 1894 and hanged in 1896, but the true number of his victims remains unknown. Pedro Alonso Lopez, the monster of the Andes, the killer who walked free. Lopez preyed on young girls in Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador, claiming to have killed over 300 victims. Arrested in 1980, he led authorities to dozens of graves. Shockingly, due to Ecuador's lenient laws, he was released in 1994 after serving just 14 years. His whereabouts remain unknown, and he may still be alive today. The Zodiac Killer, the killer who loved the spotlight. Striking fear in Northern California in the late 60s and early 70s, the Zodiac Killer murdered at least 5 people, though he claimed many more. What made him unique was his obsession with taunting the police, sending cryptic letters filled with ciphers and threats to newspapers. Despite an extensive investigation, his identity was never uncovered, leaving the case one of the most baffling mysteries in criminal history. Jack the Ripper, the Phantom Butcher of London. In 1888, a mysterious killer stalked the streets of London, targeting female sex workers and brutally mutilating their bodies. His surgical precision led many to believe he was a doctor or butcher. Despite a massive investigation, Jack the Ripper was never caught, making him one of the most infamous, unidentified serial killers in history. His case remains a mystery, fueling endless theories and speculation. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd like to discuss it or suggest new ideas, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content. See you in the next one.